welcome back to another show. Today I'm doing a what the hell is this, and this one is about Battlefield Earth. The worst film I've watched in years. And the last film I saw that was as bad as Battlefield Earth was Battlefield Earth. The last time I saw that, this is the worst film I've seen in years, and that was like when it was released in cinema. I haven't watched it since then, and I watched it again for the video, and again I thought, this is the worst film I've seen in years. And that's as far as I'm going to watch this bloody film, because this is terrible. I mean, there are good bad films and there are bad films, and this is a terrible bad film because it's boring. It's extremely boring, and not in a fun way. I mean, certain bad films are eccentric and interesting, the odd. This is just a boring film that's done badly. There's nothing interesting in this film. If it was done competently, you'd be bored watching it. But it's done horribly wrong. It's gone horribly wrong in every way. But it's not been done horribly wrong in an interesting way. It's done horribly wrong in a boring way, which makes it much worse. I mean, if you look at something like The Avengers, like the Ray Fiennes one, it's a terrible film, but it's enjoyably terrible. It's like, what were they thinking? Terrible. You know, Wild Wild West is the same way, but this one is just like, what were they thinking, and could they not be more interesting when they went insane? It's that kind of thing. I mean, it's a film that actually has Forrest Whitaker being boring. That's kind of amazing. That guy's never boring. Whatever he does, he tends to be good in whatever he does. He's a real terrific professional actor who always manages to be interesting. Until this one. This one he plays John Stewart's sidekick, who's plotting against him, and trapped in lots of latex and picking up a paycheck, and he cannot do anything in this part because his character's stupid or sneaky, depending on the scene, but it's never consistent, so, you know, that's that. And the only other person exactly here alive is Kim Coates as one of the sidekicks of the hero, who has a nothing character. He just has this sidekick character to try and be eccentric or something. But he's a good actor, so he manages to keep it interesting, even though he's got absolutely nothing to do. You know, and spoilers, he's the one character who dies in this film. It's like, oh, that's a shame. You killed the only guy who actually gave a performance that you could call half decent, and even that was like, he's been mud-burnt and all stuff. It's just like, compared to everyone else, he was at least trying a little bit. I'm pretty sure he knew he was in a dud, but he was trying to amuse at least himself. But the rest of this film is atrocious. It's so boring. I mean, even the idea, it's based on an L. Ron Hubbard novel, but it's based on this novel is this thick, and the films are 2 hours long. So I don't know if there was anything in that novel that was any good, but apparently this is the first half of that story. They were setting up a sequel for the second half. That never happened because the film was so terrible. The film also looks cheap. It looks really cheap for a mega budget film. They're using lots and lots of bad models that look like models that haven't been shot right. There's a certain art to shooting models that is to do with scale and to do with lighting and to do with how you use a model to actually make it look right. This film doesn't understand any of that. This film just has models that look like models, and they're atrocious. They're really bad. So you're watching it, it's like there's never a model shot that you don't think that's a model. It's like the effects, people who made the effects in this film should be ashamed of themselves. I don't know how much money they had, but I've seen films with much less budgets have decent effects at that time. You know, this is terrible stuff. I mean, it doesn't help you're so bored you're watching it, looking for the effects for joins because you're so bored with what's going on in the film. That does not help. But the effects are terrible. The other thing is, it's been much mocked as the idea the camera's always at tilt for most of the movie. See, tilt this way, tilt that way. It's always tilted for some reason. And most of the action has not been shot right. It just looks like it's a bunch of people getting thrown around, and they've covered this footage, and They've tried to edit together the best they can, but nothing's actually happened that's interesting. Every so often you get a shot of a shadow, like early on especially, that for like 10 seconds and film, like, oh, this could be interesting, that's it, gone. You get a bunch of actions where people are shooting lasers to get their enemy down. And that's it. It's kind of like a really incompetent episode of Star Trek Next Generation. You know, that's what it feels like a TV show. Really. It really does. Because there's so much dialogue just sitting in bar sets or like the villain's lair that all look like a room that's the size of a TV episode room. Like it's in a studio and of a certain size and they haven't hid the studio well. And everything just feels TV cheap. And it's that same TV pacing you get as in the early 90s, late 90s, where everything kind of meanders on and it's just close up to close up to close up to close up and nothing's interesting. If they actually had a decent script, that could have been lessened, but they don't. They have a script that's stupid. They have a script that's mind-numbingly bad. I mean, the worst thing about this film is the script. It's like, you're watching this, there's no way any director can make this film good. There's no way. I mean, the first third is basically you're with this character, Johnny Smith, who's basically a caveman who's grown up in the after effects of a war where the Earth's been invaded. He decides to leave his safe zone and go out to face the world to find out what's there. Gets captured by the aliens, becomes a slave to them. That's the first third. That's the best part of the film, even though it's terrible. It's absolutely awful, but at least it's better than what comes after this. Barry Pepper plays the lead. He's trying his best, but he has nothing to do. He literally has nothing to do. It's just like, look annoyed every scene. Or it's either look annoyed, try and look brave sometimes, but don't do it too convincingly. Or do this for either you're getting someone put in your head for information or you're listening to Travolta as he overacts. Or just that's all he can do. I mean, he's a good actor. He's doing good stuff. I think he just get directed into oblivion in this film and he didn't have a part and it was just like, whatever I can do to survive this thing. He just looks like an actor who's completely lost and he's no real part. So that's Barry Pepper, which is a lot better than John Travolta, who is hamming it up and he's terrible. He's all this makeup, he's very annoying. He's the John Travolta you want to punch. You know that thing where when he overacts, sometimes you just want to punch him. That's the entire performance in this film. He's so smug. His character is always ahead of everyone else and he's smug about it. And the performance is so smug. Even though he's a villain, but it's a villain you don't want to see him defeated at all. You're just bored by him because he's just so smug and so annoying. And he's meant to be smart, but nothing he does is ever smart. It's smart compared to cavemen. And then the film really goes off the rails in the second half, where the film decides that these guys can. The Barry Pepper character gets information put in his head to explain where mankind is placed as a universe. So he's this guy who was a caveman who can only ride a horse, now knows all this information. Which is stupid. Why would they give that guy information in the first place? Then he leads a rebellion because he's a rebellious character. So they give the rebellious character all the information he needs to defeat the aliens. That's what Travolta does. That's how dumb a villain he is. And then the final third, they go and unite all the people of the Earth against them. Find these old aircraft from 1,000 years before. Not kidding. Not kidding at all. They still work. These cavemen can pilot without this stuff in their head. Just learn to pilot it. Attack the stronghold of the aliens while Pepper leads a guerrilla attack to blow stuff up. And they send a bomb to the alien planet which blows up the entire alien planet. These are cavemen. You know, it's mind-numbing watching it. It's so badly paced, and the characters you couldn't care less about. They're very rote characters, and you're watching and going. So you probably tell my expression. I was losing the will to live watching this film. It was the only reason why it wasn't quite as painful this time round was I knew what was going to happen in the film, and I knew how stupid it was going to get. The first time round I saw it, it was just this pain of this film that was meandering on and with no direction. Because all these scenes, there's never any direction. Because I like a TV movie where there's no sense of direction from where the story's going ever. It's just things happen. And they happen in a very vague way, which you think, well, what's going on? This film makes Johnny Mnemonic look like a masterpiece. That's how bad this one is. It's so terrible. And I really lost the will to live watching this again. It's absolutely appalling. It's an insult to the audience in a way that most films cannot achieve. But it's not good bad. I'd much rather watch Speed 2 or Batman and Robin over this any day of the week. At least you get a laugh at those films at their expense, but this one is, oh my god, it's just soul destroying. It's just utterly horrendous in every possible way. I urge you never to watch it because you're going to destroy your brain cells. It is one of the worst films ever made. It really is. It had no right to be as bad as this. It had no right to show such contempt to his audience. It's just... So, hope you enjoyed this video. No one asked for this one. I did it just out of... I was just intrigued by the idea of doing it, and it was my own damn fault, but... It's so painful. So, I'll be back later with another video. Bye for now.